"Security! Stop her!" The shout pierced through the airport, sharp enough to turn every head. A young black woman stood frozen, clutching her suitcase as guards closed in. Cameras rose. Whispers spread. "She's acting suspicious," someone said, and that was all it took. No one knew her name. No one asked. But minutes later, when the intercom crackled and the announcement echoed through the terminal, the same woman everyone doubted would walk into the cockpit, not as a suspect, but as the pilot. This is the story that silenced an entire terminal. Welcome, story lovers. From where are you watching? Hit the like button and drop your city name in the comments so we can see how far our story travels. Airports were supposed to feel like freedom, a place where dreams took flight. But for Alyssa Carter, a 26-year-old black woman from Atlanta, they always carried something heavier. Not fear, exactly, but awareness. That invisible weight that came from too many stories that started with, "She looked suspicious." Alyssa was no stranger to pressure. As one of the youngest commercial pilots in her airline, she had fought for every uniform stripe on her sleeve. Years of late-night study sessions, simulator exams, and double shifts had led her here, to this morning flight bound for Chicago. The sun had barely risen, and the terminal glowed in soft gold light. Passengers yawned over coffee, children tugged on suitcases, and overhead announcements echoed like background music to her focus. She walked through the terminal in plain clothes, jeans, sneakers, and her pilot's jacket folded neatly over her arm. She didn't like drawing attention before a flight. Just another traveler, blending in. At least that was the plan. As she reached the gate, she checked her watch, 15 minutes before crew boarding. Plenty of time to grab water and review her pre-flight notes. But as she stepped into line at the small coffee stand, she felt it. That flicker of attention that made her stomach tighten. Someone watching. It wasn't unusual. Still, it was there. Across the terminal, a middle-aged woman in a bright floral scarf kept glancing at her. First casually, then longer. Alyssa tried to brush it off. People stared sometimes. Curiosity, she told herself. But the woman's expression wasn't curiosity. It was a suspicion. Alyssa exhaled and forced a small smile to the barista. She had worked too hard to let small moments like this throw her off. Still, as she took her cup and turned toward the boarding gates, she couldn't shake the unease settling over her. Something about this morning felt different, quieter, heavier. And deep down, she knew, before this flight ever took off, something was about to go terribly, publicly wrong. The woman's voice cut through the gentle hum of the terminal like a knife. "Excuse me, someone needs to check her. She's acting suspicious." Heads turned instantly. Alyssa froze mid-step, the coffee trembling slightly in her hand. For a heartbeat, the world around her seemed to pause, then burst into motion. Two uniformed security guards began striding toward her, their radios crackling. Alyssa blinked, confused. "Me?" she mouthed silently, but her voice never made it out. Around her, passengers pulled out phones, recording as if they were watching a scene from a show. Not a real human being standing under the sudden weight of a stranger's accusation. The woman, the same one in the floral scarf, pointed directly at her. "She's been wandering near the gates without boarding. She's got a bag and she keeps looking around. I don't feel safe." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Alyssa felt heat rise in her chest. Not anger yet, just disbelief. She wanted to explain, to pull out her airline ID, to tell them she worked here, that she belonged here. But she knew better than to move too fast. Every instinct told her that being calm was the only way to survive moments like this. One guard held up a hand. "Ma'am, we just need to ask you a few questions." His tone was firm but not kind. The other stood slightly behind him, watching her bag like it was a live wire. Alyssa nodded slowly, her throat dry. "Of course." "My name's Alyssa Carter. I'm with—" "Please step aside," the first guard interrupted. They guided her a few feet away into a small, cleared area near the terminal wall. The air was thick now, the crowd whispering, cameras flashing. The woman who started it all stood triumphantly nearby, arms folded, as if she had saved the day. Alyssa's mind raced. She thought about her uniform waiting neatly folded in her bag, about the co-pilot who'd be boarding soon, about the dozens of passengers depending on her to fly them safely to Chicago. But in this moment, none of that mattered. To everyone watching, she wasn't a professional. She wasn't a pilot. She was a suspicious black woman. The questions came quickly. Where are you traveling to? What's in the bag? Why were you standing near the gate? Her answers were calm, measured, each word a careful step across thin ice. The guard checked her ID, flipping it in his hand, squinting at the name. This doesn't look like a passenger ticket, he said. It's not, Alyssa replied softly. It's my crew ID, the woman scoffed. Crew? Oh, please. Anyone can print that off the internet these days. Something cracked inside Alyssa then. Not in her voice, not in her body, but in her faith that reason alone could diffuse ignorance. As the tension stretched, an announcement suddenly buzzed over the loudspeakers. Attention! Passengers of Flight 208 to Chicago. This is your captain speaking. We'll begin boarding shortly. Her heart skipped. The co-pilot was on board, waiting. Her name would be called any minute, and when it was, the truth would silence them all, or humiliate her in front of the world. She could only stand there, every second dragging like an eternity. As judgment and justice prepared to collide, the loudspeaker crackled again, a voice steady and professional. Final boarding call for Flight 208 to Chicago. Captain Alyssa Carter, please report to the cockpit. The terminal went silent. Even the hum of conversation seemed to vanish, leaving only the echo of her name hanging in the air. The guard blinked, the ID still in his hand. Wait, what did that say? Alyssa didn't move. For a moment, she let the silence stretch, the truth rippling through the crowd like a shockwave. Then she reached into her bag and calmly unfolded her pilot's uniform, the crisp white shirt, the navy jacket with gold stripes gleaming at the sleeves. I told you, she said quietly, eyes steady. I work here. The woman in the floral scarf stepped back, her confidence cracking. You're the pilot? Her voice trembled now, small and uncertain. Alyssa nodded once. She slipped on the jacket, straightened her shoulders, and walked past the guards without another word. The crowd parted, their phones still raised, but their expressions changed, from suspicion to shame. No one spoke as she approached the gate. Even the gate agent's eyes were wide, realization dawning too late. Alyssa handed over her ID, and this time no one dared question it. As she stepped onto the jet bridge, her reflection in the small window stopped her. The same woman they'd just accused of being suspicious. Only now, she was exactly where she belonged, at the controls of a plane full of people who had seen her humiliated minutes before. She took a deep breath, the weight of injustice still burning in her chest. Behind her, the terminal remained frozen in the wake of their own prejudice. Dear audience, where are you watching from? Drop your city name in the comments. The plane soared above the clouds, sunlight spilling across the horizon like a quiet promise. From her seat in the cockpit, Alyssa kept her focus on the instruments, her voice steady as she communicated with air traffic control. To the passengers behind her, it was just another smooth flight. But for her, it was something else. A test she hadn't signed up for, but had passed with grace she never wanted to need. When the plane landed in Chicago, she waited until everyone disembarked before stepping out. Her co-pilot offered a slight nod, respect without words. Outside the gate, a few passengers approached, their faces filled with the kind of awkward remorse that always comes too late. One woman whispered, "I'm so sorry," but Alyssa just smiled faintly and kept walking. She wasn't angry anymore, just tired. Later that night, scrolling through her phone, she saw the videos. Her name was trending. Black pilot falsely accused. Millions of views. Thousands of comments. Some outraged, others inspired. A moment of humiliation turned into a message. One she hadn't planned to send but couldn't ignore. She knew this wouldn't be the last time someone like her was judged before being known. But maybe for a few people watching, it would make them think twice. Because prejudice doesn't always shout. Sometimes, it whispers in airports and boardrooms in silence. The question is, when it speaks next time, will anyone have the courage to say it's wrong? Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more powerful true life stories.